another Dreadlocks question and answer video where I answer your Dreadlocks questions with some Dreadlocks answers, or at least I try to answer them to the best of my abilities. First question this week comes from Lauren Dunn. Lauren asks, which Dreadlock is your favourite? My favourite Dreadlock is my 4 Dreadlock Congo. This one because it is the thickest one and is the most unique because it has 4 little tips still coming off it from the 4 Dreadlocks that it used to be, and it looks like a little person. Daniel Hayden asks, how long did it take your dreadlocks to start growing? Personally, it took my dreadlocks around a year, which is kind of the average for the time it takes for a lot of people's dreadlocks to start to grow. Some people find that they don't notice much change in the growth rate of their hair, and some people find that they can spend a really long time waiting for the hair to start to grow. I cover the topic in more detail in my growth and shrinkage video, which you will find linked in the description. Andre Phillips asks, I've had my dreadlocks for 3 months and almost an inch at the tips of my dreadlocks won't lock up. Is that normal? Do you have any advice to help with that? I would say that an inch of loose hair at the tips of your dreadlocks is very normal. Some people's dreadlocks do blunt up all the way to the tip naturally, but I will say that it is more common than not that they will be loose to some extent at the tip. Most people who get the blunting happening naturally have either started their dreadlocks via neglect or have particularly curly hair. If you start your dreadlocks with neglect, it gives all of the hair ability to move around and be able to knot up at the tip. If you start your dreadlocks with something like twist and rip or back comb, you're already kind of making the dreadlocks into knotted lumps, and it does not give the hair all that much room to move. So on the one hand, with those 2 methods, it means that you are going to get sort of control over where the dreadlocks are going to form and the size and shape and all that. But that restriction in movement does kind of mean that the hairs at the tip of the dread don't get a lot of ability to move around and not a lot of ability to lock up by themselves. And when you're washing the hair and water's running through them, even if you start your dreadlocks back combed right up to the tip, as the water comes through, it's going to pull those loose. If you have some curl in your hair naturally, you can find that the tips will kind of curl up on themselves and completely blunt up at the tip. But for most people, that loose inch or so is completely normal, again as I said, from the sort of washing of the hair, because the water runs through, pulls loose hairs out. Some people like loose tips, some people like blunt tips, whether it's an aesthetic or practical reason. Personally, I prefer loose tips because dreadlocks kind of wash and dry easier because the water can run out a lot easier than with blunted tips. If you are looking for blunted tips, there are kind of 2 ways to go about it. You can either go about it really slowly with the tip rubbing method. I'll link it in the description. I have a video on tip rubbing. It's basically just getting the tip and balling it up and rubbing it in a circular motion round and round into the palm of your hand, and some people find that that encourages those loose hairs there to knot up. But the most permanent and reliable way to do it is to crochet those loose hairs in. So if you are happy with crocheting your hair, then crocheting is going to blunt those up instantly. Aaron Brownfield asks, how big were your original dreadlock sections when you first got them done? My original dreadlock sections were pretty much the average inch squared, maybe slightly larger, but I no longer have any of my original sections. Every dreadlock has pretty much congoed up with at least another dreadlock. When I first started out, I had over 70 dreadlocks, and I now have around 38 dreadlocks, so it's almost half my original number, and I've had some new dreadlocks form from loose hair, so I would not have dreadlocks as thick as I have them from my original sections. Jenny Mercurio asks, I know you said swimming in the ocean is good for your dreads, but what about swimming in a pool, or is chlorine bad for dreads? Swimming in the ocean is good for dreadlocks. Swimming in the ocean is great for dreadlocks. Swimming in a pool, however, is not good for dreadlocks. Doesn't mean that you can't swim in a pool, it's just not great for them. It's not going to make them fall out or anything, but the chlorine kind of makes the dreadlocks feel tacky and not very nice. At least in my experience, I don't like the feeling that chlorinated water gives my dreadlocks. While I'm swimming, they're kind of, I don't know, I really don't like it. So at the earliest possible convenience, after leaving a chlorinated pool, I will wash my hair. And it's not that easy to wash chlorine out of your hair. It's kind of still got the tacky feeling that it had in the pool. And it takes a lot of soaking and squeezing and soaking and squeezing to completely remove that sort of tacky feeling that you get. So obviously that's an inconvenience. It takes a while to wash dreadlocks normally, but it takes even longer, at least in my experience, to remove the chlorine water, the chlorine feeling from the pool. So what turned out as a quick swim turned into a whole ordeal with the washing and drying. And if you have young dreadlocks, you can find that this is definitely not something that's all that great for the dreadlocks, because extensive washing and rinsing and soaping and shampooing can obviously loosen the dreadlocks up and pull more loose hair out and leave your dreadlocks kind of frizzy. Those are my questions for this week. If you'd like to ask me a question for answering in a dreadlock Q&A video, you can leave it as a comment as a reply to this video, or preferably the latest Q&A video. Please write question at the start of your question and then it will join the queue, or you can join the Facebook page at facebook.com/lazydreads. Each Tuesday I post a status on my Facebook page asking for new questions for the following Q&A video. Whichever question as a response to that status gets the most likes on Facebook will be answered in the following video. No queue time, no waiting. If you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, useful, click the like button so I know that you liked it. If you'd like to see more videos from me in the future, you can of course subscribe. All my content is available on lazydreads.com in an ordered fashion, so you can find your way around and find things that you're looking for. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope to see you guys again next week. Farewell!